Accustat Video Productions proudly presents Championship 9-ball, a la the 20th edition of the US Open. I'm Grady Matthews in the booth with my old friend Bill in Cardona. Billy, why don't you describe the impending contest for our viewers?
Well, there's a fella here from Osaka, Japan, and his name is Kunihiko Takahashi. Is that the right pronunciation?
I think you did admirably with that difficult pronunciation.
Well, anyways, this gentleman from Osaka, he's been playing extremely well in this event. This is round number 5. This is the definitely an undefeated match because he's playing Efren the Magician, Reyes. He has won 4 consecutive matches, and he's beat some pretty good players, to get to this position. He beat a fellow by the name of, let me see if I can read this, so dark, Brooks, 11-1. He beat Tommy Kennedy, a former U.S. Open champion. He beat a real strong Jamie Goodwin, and in his last match, he beat no other than Earl the Pearl Strickland. So therefore, he's played some pretty formidable opponents, and he's done extremely well. And I look for him to play a good match here against Reyes.
I do too, and this has to be a thrilling moment for the young man from Japan to do this well in his first really major event. But of course, as always, we're thrilled just at the prospect of watching the magician perform. He does things with the cue ball and with intricate position and safety plays that are unprecedented. Not due out till next century, as they say. And his break is improved. And Efren has been winning about everything of late.
Yeah, it was kind of a mystery to me. I've known Efren now for 8 or 9 years, and quite frankly, I've always thought Efren was the greatest player in the world, and perhaps the greatest player to have ever played the game. Now he's asserted himself, and he's unarguably the greatest player in the world. But not until last year here at the US Open did he start this barrage that he's put on the pool world. He won the U.S. Open 9-ball championships last year. Then he proceeded to win 4 other major events, including a straight pool event, a game that he doesn't even play. So that kind of like tells you how well this man plays pool.
Now he wants to come down for position for the 7-ball for the lower right-hand corner pocket. No reason to try to play for the combination here. And you couldn't place it any better with your hand. And he can just come out one natural rail here, or he can spin over with a lot of inside English and play the 8 up the long rail. And that's probably the best shot.
Once again, perfect placement of the cue ball.
And just like that, in just a moment, it's going to be 1-0 advantage Efren Reyes. We are, of course, in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I love this area, the Tidewater region, especially this time of year.
Yeah, it's a nice time of the year to be here in Virginia.
This, of course, the best 9-ball tournament in the world. There's some other great matches going on, too. Nick Varner's playing Rodney Morris. Danny Harriman playing Bustamante. Rimpey and Archer.
That figures to be a very good match. Rimpey right now is playing extremely well. Yeah, he was playing Jimmy Wedge in a match last night on our featured table. Accustats has that match, by the way. Just call Pat and ask him about that match. That was a really exciting match. Both Jimmy Wedge and Jimmy Rimpey played extremely well in that match. I'm not going to tell you who won that match, but check it out.
Well, he stopped the cue ball exactly in the middle of the table. Perfect position on the 2-ball. And no special problem here. The 3-ball's on the far right-hand side rail. And he wants to get pretty close to the 3-ball, though. He doesn't have a full pocket going by the 6-ball. And if he has to shoot that from long range, it's eminently missable. And I like that. By having an angle, I think we'll see him go one rail into the 8 easy here, rather than playing for the side pocket. That's the right shot. And now he's in perfect position. He can either simply roll forward a little bit, which I think is the right shot, or he could just bounce it off the side rail and back over a couple of feet.
Yeah, well, there's no reason for him to do that. The balls, as they lie, sit perfectly.
Right, he had a perfect angle. And from here, it's a matter of individual preference. He can either lay the cue ball on the right-hand side rail, or he can go 2 rails down to the end rail. I kind of like this way that he has chosen.
Well, there was no reason for him to travel with the cue ball any great distance because the remaining balls on the table aren't really lying in difficult positions. So therefore, with his ability at the table, this shouldn't be any problem. As we see, it's no problem for him. Once again, placing the cue ball in just about a perfect position for the 7. Efren Reyes has not only tremendous control of the cue ball in terms of direction, but his speed of the cue ball, I mean, is unsurpassed. I mean,
that's true.
No one in the game controls the speed ball in terms of speed, controls the cue ball in terms of speed any better than the man at the table now.
Well, it didn't take very long to go to 2 games to nothing, did it? Now, he plays very well opposite-handed, but he'll have to use the bridge in this particular instance.
You know, occasionally you'll run across a shot where you can't reach with either hand, and this is one of those shots, but we have a bridge, and occasionally he'll use it, and that's the only time he'll use it, by the way. After game number 2, Reyes leads in the match now 2-0. Takahashi really hasn't made an appearance at the table, so I'm kind of wondering, you know, when he does make an appearance at the table, how he's going to respond to the pressure, because Efren Reyes is the most intimidating player in the world today.
That he is.
Especially if he starts out in this fashion.
Well, he's not done yet. I don't know how far he's going to go, but that's a good point you raise. Certainly the pressure is going to be formidable. No reason to change the break position.
I heard a ball drop. I believe it was the 1 in the side. 2 ball finally coming to rest near the 7 on top of the foot spot. The 3 near the left-hand cushion, but the 6 blocks the pocket. The 3, but the combinations available. The angle that he has on the 2 may suggest that he can't play position for the 3-6 combination. And the 4 ball may block the bottom left-hand corner.
Well, what he'll do here is use high or just above center ball left English, go down to the end rail and back up, planning to play the 3 either in the side pocket or the far right-hand corner.
And if he should happen to bypass that mark, then he always has this 3-6 combination available.
Right. Good point, Billy. So he'd be better advised to strike this a little bit firmer.
And if he happens to brush the 3 on the inside, he'll most certainly have a shot either in the side or one of the 2 corners.
See, I wouldn't play the combination anyway. It's an easy shot to play the 3 ball. It'll go by the 6 anyway. Or you can play it off the left side of the 6, or kind of like the back side of the 6 ball. The main thing, I think, here is to get close to the 3 ball.
Now, from our vantage point, we really can't tell exactly what kind of an angle he really has.
But that's exactly what I thought he would do.
Right, he executed the shot in exactly how Grady described it. Playing position for the upper right-hand corner. And once again, take a look at the cue ball in relation to the 3 ball.
Well, that was perfectly executed. However, the 5 ball, now here's a position play a lot of guys overlook. If he gets straight in on the 4 ball, Billy, he can just pretty much stop the cue ball and plan on playing the 5 ball in the far right-hand corner pocket.
And it looks like that's what he's going to do. He may have maybe too much of an angle to do that, but perhaps not. He's going to try to play position for the 5 in the upper right-hand corner.
No, he
had too much of an angle to hold it in that area to do that, so he decided to draw it out of there, 1 cushion back to the center of the table, and he's once again in perfect line. I mean, Efren Reyes makes our job so much easier. I mean, how we envision things happening the correct way, well, that's how he plays. And it's just so easy to do commentary when Reyes is at the table.
Well, you and I have both been big admirers and respecters of knowledge, anyway. And certainly he is the embodiment of knowledge and professionalism. Plus, he's a classy guy, too. I think he's a neat guy. He's an intelligent man, too. He plays chess. He dabbles in all types of esoteric philosophies. And all of that notwithstanding, his favorite meal is rice. Well, he's a great guy to take on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you buy him like a hot dog and a couple of bowls of rice, and I mean, he'll sit down and watch movies for like 30 hours straight on TV. I mean, what a great guy to have on the road. It's inexpensive, and he beats everybody he plays.
Exactly, and game number 3 goes to Efren Reyes, and now he leads in the match by the score of 3-0, and we have yet have the opportunity to see Takahashi at the table.
Well, you raised a good point. How is he going to answer this kind of pressure? It's going to be very critical. Well, I hate to impose this 2-letter word. If he gets to the table.
Well, I think he's got a pretty good chance of getting to the table, you know. I mean, and the only way he doesn't get to the table if Efren runs out the set on him. And the odds on that is at least 4 or 5 to 1, wouldn't you think?
Astronomical, about like is the sun going to come up tomorrow?
Two balls on the break. He's going to come up with a shot on the 2. And it looks like this rack also is history as the first 3 have been.
Well, you know what's interesting, Billy? I don't know if you noticed it or not, but this is the 4th game in a row that he's had position on the 2-ball in the side pocket, the same side, if I'm not mistaken.
And I wasn't really paying close attention. Did the 1 ball go in the side pocket?
He's made the 1 ball all 4 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Spinning the cue ball 2 cushions down to where the foot spot is, past the foot spot, and once again, finally coming to rest in a perfect position.
Well, to Takahashi's credit, he hasn't made any mistakes, save losing the leg.
Now, in case you people out there, you know, aren't watching this closely, that what he's doing is not easy. I mean, he's making it appear like it's just routine. But what he is doing out there is just a little bit short of miraculous. He's just playing perfect position no matter what type of an angle or shot he has.
Well, it's beautiful to witness, I'm forced to admit. Of course, Takahashi may have a slightly different viewpoint.
I'm sure he has, but of course he's an admirer also. How can you not be?
Oh, he's a perfect gentleman, too. One of the things I like about him, up at the New Bedford tournament, which is where I, in fact, met this young, talented player from Japan, he engaged in some interesting after-hours matches against some of the best players in the world, and perfect gentleman to play with, and bet respectable sums of money, and I like that kind of thing. Well, 4-0.
We're here at Chesapeake, Virginia, at the US Open once again. This is the 20th tournament that Barry Berman has had here. Q-Master Billiards has once again sponsored this event along with Brunswick Billiards. But it's Q-Master Billiards is the real sponsoring force behind the US Open Championships. And Barry has done such an admirable job, you know, for such a long time.
Look at the monitor. There's a nice shot of Takahashi in repose. Sometimes in a spot like this, Billy, when my opponent starts off in such terrific fashion, I'll go to the restroom and hope that when I come back, it's my shot.
5 ball in the corner pocket.
9
the next
is
ball
going.
will be the one. The 9 went on the break. He made 3 balls on the break. Had he not made the 9, he would not have had a shot on the 1, and this barrage may have ended, but that's not what happened. Game number 5 goes to Reyes. He now leads in the match 5-0, and Takahashi has yet to make an appearance at the table.
Well, he's run out almost half of the match already.
I mean, when Takahashi gets out of the chair, I'm going to look at him real closely to see if he's wavering, because this is really a barrage, you know, an onslaught that Efren is.
You know what this reminds me of? At the US Open Straight Pool in New York City in 1983, I had a great event, but Steve Miserak ran 150 and out on me, and I was in the same comatose position.
Well, we may have seen the end of this, because he's pocketed the 1 on the break, but didn't come up with the shot. Now notice the rollout here, Grady. The 2 ball way at the other end of the table, but the position of the 3 in a very curious position here, the bottom cushion in relation to the 2. If you pocket the 2, you have to hit it absolutely perfectly to get position for the 3. Efren says, I can do it, Takahashi. Can you do it?
Well, I wouldn't like to have to make this log hard shot of the 2-ball getting up out of the chair trailing 5-0 against one of the world's greatest players. So singularly unappealing.
Takahashi says to himself, oh, well, I know he can do it. I might be able to do it.
I'd be surprised if he gets this within a foot of the pocket. I couldn't. Oh, look at this. What a nice shot.
So the articulate Takahashi comes with a very, very good shot, a very, very intelligent shot in executing the cross corner bank on the 2. Does he have a shot on the 3?
He's got to go rail first, and it looks to me like he can get around the 9. A little bit of right English. Don't want to hit this very hard. Cue ball will slide up naturally for the 4-ball.
So the barrage that Reyes put on Takahashi most certainly didn't, impair his judgment, because the first shot he came with was a real intelligent shot.
That it was. Oh, I like this young man. I like his attitude, his demeanor. I like the way he threads his way around balls, too. He plays a great game of safety, too. I was surprised by that. I don't know where he learned it, but he certainly came to the United States with it. That's a beautiful shot from where he was. Got to be careful here. He doesn't want to slide too far off the bottom part of the 6-ball. He'd like to make the 5 and nudge the 6 towards the left-hand side pocket.
Right, a center ball. A center ball will give him the type of action that he wants. Right. He doesn't want to go low, because then he'll come beneath the 6.
Well, plus the 6 might be blocked from going anywhere by the 7. If he pushes it up high, he doesn't want to do that. Doesn't have to hit this very hard either.
That's exactly what he needed to do. I don't know if he has room. I do believe he does have room. And if he does have room, once again, he struck it perfectly as he has the first 3 or 4 shots in this also difficult rack.
Well, this is going to be a pretty impressive run out here. I mean, under the conditions.
Oh, you can say that again.
That's why the likes of you and me are doing commentary. We can't get out from...
Well, I've always done commentary, but you enter tournaments, and, it's inevitable that you'll join me very, very soon after you enter.
I can't argue with that, my friend.
But anyways, I mean, I'm really impressed with not only his ability to play the game, but with his, his fortitude, his guts.
Sure, and I think this knowledgeable US Open audience will clap their appreciation of a difficult run out.
Because what he's just done, believe me, was extremely difficult considering the circumstances.
Nice shot, nice out.
That's game number 6. That's a big game right there. That certainly sends a message to Reyes, if anything did. Listen, I saw you run the first 5 racks perfectly. Never out of line, perfect pull, didn't bother me. I came back and I ran a real tough rack, so, I can play too.
Well, I'm starting to think that Efren doesn't really care what his opponent does. I think he just tries to play his game, and he figures that that's good enough to defeat just about anybody.
Well, that's what you would like to believe.
Well, I've always felt that to be the proper way to attack pool.
That's what you would like to believe when you're looking at a person, or we're talking about a person like Efren Reyes. But everybody has fear, everyone, and sometimes it just takes more to bring out fear in some people. But believe me, he got his attention.
Does that explain your inability to defeat a skilled opponent? Fear.
That is a big factor.
Look at this. He stopped the cue ball in the middle of the table
and didn't come up with the shot. And to make it worse, the 6-ball brushed the cue ball back out of a possible shot into an impossible shot on the 1. Now he has to look to either roll out or play some sort of a safety.
Well, he's got to try to thin the 1 here, I believe, and try to come down behind the 5, 6, 9 some kind of way. Tough shot.
He's using the left side of the 1 ball to come off of him, and a little more high risk than using the right side of the 1 ball. So therefore, cue ball control here is definitely imperative. He must be able to control the cue ball. If he goes to the left side of the 1 and doesn't control the cue ball, it's curtains. And he didn't do exactly what he wanted to do. Reyes steps to the table licking his chops for sure. This is really easy stuff right now for Reyes.
Well, I think he might have been better advised to take a little extra time on that critical safety play. Going off the left side of the one, very difficult. Now he can just punch this over, one natural rail. And he can go on either side of the 5-ball. And that's perfect. Now I would just draw this over to the side rail and stay above the 6. A little bit of low left English, exactly like that. And this one, he can go 1 or 2 rails. I kind of like the 2-rail route because after the cue ball exits the 2nd rail, it's going towards the 8-ball, precluding the possibility of getting out of line. Just below center ball, some left English. Just like that. And this one, the shot I like here is following down to the in rail and back up by the side pocket, a little right English, and then towards the 9 again off the 2nd rail, just exactly like that.
He's playing the game exactly the way you're describing it.
And just punch this in just below center ball, and 6-1, our current tally. Let's update our viewers on some of the other scores. Archer ahead of Rempe 3-0 at the moment. Bustamante.
Danny Harriman.
Leading 3-0.
That is, Bustamante is leading 3-0.
Right. Varner 2-1 over Rodney Morris. And the other 2 matches just beginning.
And the matches that are just beginning between Carter and Pierce, that figures to be a pretty long match. Both very deliberate players. One ball on the side. Now, Reyes is making the 1 ball on the side with regularity, and it's a shot that he's most certainly playing. He really picks up a lot of equity in the break by playing the 1 on the side. Now, he's actually developed the feel to pocket the 1 on the side, and he's doing really a great job with it.
Now, here's another instance where we can witness firsthand, first view, if you will, why he's called the magician. With this very slight angle, let's see if he can find a way to get into that 3 and 4. He's got to use a little bit of draw, thick hit, and you have to slug this. Maybe a touch of left English. Oh, he's not going to even try. He's going to play safe. Well, I'm not crazy about where he got here. Of course, the way he's playing, he'll probably stop Whitey behind the 4-ball. Rail first.
He might be able to make this ball.
Oh, he could make it. Well, I'm blind. Did that look to you like he could make that?
I've known that for a long time.
Well, I thought something was... Oh,
yes.
I can't say anything.
Okay. But he's at the table, and when you saw him position the cue ball in a curious position, which you thought was a curious position, you should have known at that time that he could have made the 3.
True, true. Sometimes the vantage point from up here in the booth, you get kind of a jaundiced view.
Looks like he's going to opt to play the 7-9 combination.
That's which surprises me. I thought he'd go over and play position for the 7, but
especially considering where the 8-ball lies right near the side pocket, and really not having to do too much with the cue ball after pocketing the 7. But nevertheless, he played position for the 7-9 combination, and I do believe he's going to be able to put this in also.
7-1.
He's played a flawless match up to this point. If Pat were keeping his Aki stats in this match, I believe he would be...
he'd be shooting 1,000, right?
His TPA would be 1,000.
That's, what is that, total performance average?
That's exactly what it is.
Well, I'll tell you, this time of year, the fall in the Tidewater area is always exciting to me anyway. I don't know, there's almost a mystique, an aura in the air, almost like Boston Gardens. It's the US Open, and as we've grown to expect, there are always great matches.
Scratching in the side, he just For some reason, you know, the cue ball just has a tendency to go toward the side pocket. So therefore, if you don't really concentrate on the break, don't be surprised if you lose the cue ball in either one of the two side pockets. Reyes fouling on the break gives Takahashi cue ball in hand. Takahashi trails by the score of 1-7. Has an opportunity to narrow the gap somewhat here. But the position of the 7 and the 9 may be a little bit too difficult for him to
all he has to do is get
negotiate
roughly straight in on the 7. It's like a slight angle, and he can play position on the 8 in the side pocket. Look at this. Ooh. That's not what he meant to do, I don't think.
He probably wanted to force the cue ball in front of the 5. He hit the side of it. Unfortunately, the cue ball wasn't able to find its way in back of the 5. But he's still in line despite that little... Well,
he's got to be careful when he goes from the 5. Oh, this is a perfect angle. Now he can stay a little short of straight in on the 6, giving himself an adequate angle to obtain position on the 7 ball. Couldn't place it with your hand any better than that. The only question is, do you risk staying on the short side of the side pocket?
No, I don't play with the side. I just go beyond the side, draw the ball beyond the side, so taking the side pocket totally out of the picture. I don't like what he's done there. I would have played beyond the side, taking the side pocket totally out of
That's why I brought
picture.
up the point. I think you're 100% right.
You know, why be boggled with the possibility of the side pocket scratching in the side? You know, eliminate that thought. That way, give yourself the concentration that you need solely on pocketing the ball.
Efren will go 3 rails. Nice natural angle. Now, here's one of Efren's better shots. Sometimes he'll follow this out of there, 2 rails with a little inside English, like that. Very nicely done.
That's such an important shot to practice playing 9-ball, because notice the position of the cue ball now. If you would have attempted that shot and with the draw stroke, the cue ball then would have been somewhere near the cushion. But if you can perfect that shot, you're going to find yourself always in line for the next ball off of any cushion. And the rest of the rack play is much more simple. Game number 9 goes to Reyes, who now leads in the match for the score of 8-1.
Now, taking every pertinent factor into consideration, in doing my usual late match odds analysis, I make it about 40 million to 1 against Takahashi coming back and winning this match.
Well, considering how well Reyes is playing, and if this is any indication how he's going to finish this match, I don't think it's nearly that low.
Well, to win the match, you make it higher, huh?
Yeah.
He had to get out that last rack. That was imperative to have any chance to win.
While the balls are cooperating, notice the 1 ball once again, I think he pocketed it in the side. The cue ball stopping near the foot spot. The 2, he can shoot into the side pocket. Now the 3 ball is near the bottom cushion to the left of the 9. If he's able to draw the cue ball to the bottom cushion, I believe he'll have enough room to pocket the 3. Well, he's gone the other route, which maybe have been a little more accessible to the 3. Perhaps the position for the 3 wouldn't have been untenable, drawing the ball to the bottom cushion, so he opted to go the other route.
He's looking to see if he wants to load it up with inside English and send the cue ball between the 4 and 9. I think that's the best shot. Going into the 7 here is a little hazardous.
Well, he was looking to go around the 5, I think.
No, he's not going around the 5. It's either into the 7. Oh, you're right. I stand corrected, Mr. Cardone.
Well, I'm sorry. I promise not to do stuff like that often with you, because I know how you feel when I do that.
Oh, it's so rare that you're right that I don't especially like what he did here. He's made this...
You're still stubborn, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm stubborn, yeah.
Well, the reason he did this because he doesn't have any interfering balls now. And he's played, once again, perfect cue ball position in terms of speed.
He's on the proper side of the 5 ball.
Exactly. Had he hit it harder, ended up straight in on the 5, he would have found himself in a very awkward position. But that's not Efren Reyes' style of play. What we just saw him do was execute the shot on the 4-ball with perfect cue ball
now
speed.
watch him follow this out of there too, Reyes, maybe.
No, he'll just stop this ball.
Doesn't have to, but
now he used the side cushion to go toward the 8. And once again, he just simplified this rack by using his fine judgment on how to play position and his fine cue ball speed, which has eluded him on that particular shot for some reason.
now can he reach this?
He can reach just about any shot. He's very limber. He stretches over the table quite easily. This is rack number 10, and with the pocketing of the 9, Reyes will then have a very commanding lead of 9 games to 1.
You know, it's got to be a little discouraging for Takahashi, too. He's missed 1 ball, and he's trailing 9 games to 1.
Well, he's only shot 2 racks, so in 2 racks, he's missed 1 ball. I mean,
right.
Reyes has taken complete control of this match. And and quite often you see him do this. You know, he just takes complete control of his matches. If the balls cooperate, he takes complete control of the match. And in this particular match, the balls have been cooperating somewhat.
Yeah, very
somewhat.
nicely. But, of course, he's helped. Look at that. Look at that, right in the middle of the table.
Well, now if he can keep doing that, he's going to be dangerous.
There's something strange going on here. The referee must be racking the 2-ball in the same place. That's like, I believe that's the 8th time he's gotten position for the 2-ball in the side pocket.
I do agree with you. There is something strange happening here, and every time he plays, something strange happens, it looks like to me. You know, something that we really don't get to see that often. And I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again. It really has been a privilege for me to be here on Earth while this man is here also, because I've heard stories about players like Ralph Greenleaf and Willie Mosconi and players like that. I've really never had the opportunity to watch some of those players play, and they're just legends, you know. But this is a real living legend we've had the opportunity to watch play, and it's certainly really a treat for me.
Oh, it is for everybody. No question about it. And I learn something often watching one of Efren's matches. And I think everybody else will that has the opportunity to watch this talented champion from Manila. Well, he's still in the tournament. Takahashi is going to still be in the tournament once this match is over with. But everybody asks me why I like single elimination tournaments, and I'm going to tell you why. All right. If I play in a tournament and I beat a player like Efren Reyes, I don't want to have to beat him again. I want him done, finished, spent, gone.
Well, I'm certainly sure everyone else here will be in total agreement with what you just said. But that is a valid reason why you would rather play single elimination when Efren Reyes is in the tournament.
Well,
how about when he's not in the tournament?
Well, same thing. There's so many great players now. I mean, you've got Varner and Strickland and C.J. Wiley and on and on and on. 10 to 1.
Well, he pocketed a ball on the break, and now the 3-ball passed the 1-ball, opening up the pocket for the 1. The 2-ball lies underneath the foot spot, slightly to the left. 5 and the 9 may be a problem underneath where the 2-ball lies. He may break it up right here. No, he's going to break it up on the 2. He's going to play position on the 2 to nudge the 9-ball down, freeing up the 9 from the 5, opening up the rack, and closing out Takahashi.
This looks a little touchy to me, Billy. He's got to be careful not to end up behind the 5-ball. Got to hit this easy and go through the 9 a little bit. Or he hit the 5 first. That's fine.
Watch out. He's repositioned the 5. Fortunately for him, it finally ended up on the spot where it's makeable either in both the upper right and lower left, upper right and lower right hand pockets.
That's perfect.
Actually, he ended up on the wrong side of the 4. It would have been perfect if the cue ball would have ended up on the inside of the 4.
Well, he can just pull this back and play the 5 in the same corner.
7-ball cross table from the 5. He would have much rather been on top of the 5, shooting it in this pocket with the same angle. This shot plays a little tougher. Once again, he illustrates how easily he executes that particular shot, the follow shot. A lot of players would have tried to force that ball across table.
Hit it a lot harder.
Yeah, and by doing that, they really decrease the size of the pocket. With the speed that he hit that shot with, he actually allowed the pocket to play as largely as it could.
Well, it's been fun. This match is over with, though.
It certainly is over. And it didn't take much time because the man at the table saw to that, playing just about as
We're going to do an interview, too.
As you could possibly play.
Efren's been working on his English, you know, for a while. When we would do an interview with him, he'd say, I play good, I win. But his English is picking up. So we'll have him up here in just a minute.
Well, the applause is certainly indicative to the performance. There's no question about that.
Let's talk about the $13 cue. Cue makers are always offered him $3,000 or $4,000 cue. He still plays with that $13 thing there. Well, he's added a new dimension to modern-day professional pocket billiards, that's for sure. While we're waiting on Efren, let's mention that if you'd like to purchase this tape or anyone in the terrific AccuStats library, you have simply to call
1-800-828-0397. And even though this was a relatively short match, I really highly recommend anyone to buy this tape and to watch it, because this tape will probably be coupled up with another tape, because Pat usually does that with a short match. But this was great. This was really some special 9-ball. We had an opportunity to give it to you people, and
well, except for the inadvertent scratch on the break, he shot 1,000. Perfect pool.
He's smiling. He's walking over. Okay. Oh, no, I want you to hold the microphone, because every time we do an interview with you, I always have to hold it. But when you hold it close to your... That's it. Sit down there.
Efren, great shooting. You've played perfect pool except for the scratch in the side. Oh, yeah, lucky, right.
You know, I